Okay, welcome back. I noticed a few spots where the game video or music was a little loud, but it wasn't too bad. So I think it's right where I want it to be now. So you can hear me, but at the same time you can still hear the game. And my apologies. That first video, um, it was actually well done from a gameplay perspective, but uh, it was way too loud. The music was, and so you could barely hear me talk over the music. Um, so here's the game. Let's start off with some basic concepts. First one is you're going to notice that your units are here at the bottom, and there's going to be green numbers, like this guy,
Your forces are comprised of both core
and there's going to be yellow numbers,
We're on a
like this guy.
floating fortress.
Now, the yellow numbers are what's called non-core units. So if we finish this mission, those units are going to go away. They're only available to us for this mission only. The green units are core units, and they're going to carry with us to the next mission. So that's the first thing to understand. So obviously, if you're going to send a unit out to die, you want the non-core unit to die, not the core. So that's the first concept. The next one is, unlike other games with core and non-core, like some games when you have a non-core unit, you almost like make them the sacrificial lamb. I still do that in this game, but there is a penalty to that. And I can show you here, this green bar on the top left is your victory points. Now, it doesn't say how many victory points you need to get a golden victory, but it's somewhere around 345 for this mission. And I know this because I just played this scenario and explained this to you in a video that I just deleted. But if you hover over it, it'll tell you how you score points. Like you can get up to 100 points for killing enemies. Controlling all the flags gets you 25 points. Clearing all the enemies gets you 25 points, etc., etc., etc. And then you can actually lose points for some of this stuff, the penalties. Okay, so you start with 150 initially. And then also you're going to get, for completing the operation, you're going to get 2,000. You get a global bonus of 1,000. And this global bonus is because of the difficulty level of the game. Remember, we get 150% prestige bonus. So we're going to get 2,000 for completing the mission, and then that extra 50% is going to give us 1,000 more. This will turn into 1,200. I don't know how, but I think it's one of the missions we complete that does that. Now, if you have to repair your core units or your non-core units, or if you lose a non-core unit, it's all negative points to your prestige. The prestige is your money in this game. It's your economy. Everything you do is with prestige. Now, victory points is interesting. It's also a different kind of money. The first way it gets you money is if you get a gold victory versus a silver, your medals will get better. Now, the medals will appear down here, and this particular mission doesn't give out any medals, but the medals always give you awesome perks and bonuses that last the rest of the campaign. Okay, some of them are like, ships are cheaper. Some of them will be extra command points, which I haven't explained what those are. We're not going to get any of that in this mission, but that's what the medals do. So getting a gold victory versus a silver, very helpful. The other thing is that these 150 victory points are going to allow us to buy things that we can use our command points for. So our command points, we can buy skills that are command. We actually have a command ship, and it'll make more sense as we get into it. I don't want to spend too much time belaboring it. Now, obviously the prestige, you get prestige for capturing victory areas and objectives, and even places that are not objectives but they have a flag. You get points for those. And then here, anything we destroy, we're going to get prestige for. Anything we lose prestige for. And anytime we have to repair our units, that's also a lost prestige. And it'll all show up here. So if I have like damaged planes and damaged carriers, it'll show under the, the planes here under fighter or tactical bomber, or even under carrier, a negative points. So even if I didn't lose my unit, I still have to repair it. It'll show up here. And any repairs you have to pay for, obviously, is money lost. So you don't want to take damage, but you're going to. So it's just one of those things you have to accept. Now, the amount of prestige that you get for killing units usually offsets the amount you lose. And that's sort of the rule of thumb you want to go by. Okay, on the top right, here is the number of aircraft that you have deployed. 7. out of 7. So all that's saying is that I have 2 carriers. One here, the Yorktown, and one up here, which is a Yorktown class. So these 2 carriers are, they have a capacity of holding 7 units of planes. Obviously, each unit of plane represents many planes, but you understand the point. And it's just saying that I'm at my full capacity for my carriers. It's a very helpful tool. The 500 is our money, that's our economy, and I can go and purchase units. So I can, for example, buy a Colorado class battleship for the paltry price of 3,100. I have 500, so I'm close. I'm close. The last one here is the command points I was telling you about. So you start the game with 26 command points. I have 18 units deployed. That every ship, every plane counts as a point. And so I'm sorry, I have 8 units deployed. It's core units. So these yellow units don't count. It's the green units. And so what that means is I get 26 command points. Since I have 8 units under my command, they consume 8 points of that 26. So every round I'm going to get 18 command points as income. But here's 2 things you got to understand. 26 is the maximum command points. So every turn I can spend 18 points worth of command actions, and then when I hit end turn, by the time my next turn comes around, I'm going to get an income of 18 more every turn. So it's really nice. An income of 18 is super awesome. And so I'll be able to spend those points to do other things. Okay. Now, the unfortunate part is, what can I do with them at the start of the game? Well, one of them is, this is my command unit, by the way. How do I know?
Information about it. If the unit is still
first,
able to move
it's the first
turn,
when you list all your units, it's the very first one listed.
No longer move.
Second is it has
the ammunition icon shows whether the unit
HQ written in the title here. HQ
battleship.
Fuel, so this is our headquarters. The headquarters has special skills. I have aviation recon, and of course it's the headquarters. The headquarters will get bonuses as the game goes on, based on whether you get silver or gold victories, as I was talking about, those medals. Okay, so there's this little folder here. If I click on this, this skill list will actually grow, but right now I have this thing called Aviation Recon. So what that means is I can take, I can use the skill and I can say, okay, I want to see what's here. So I'm going to have a plane, an aviation plane, fly over those 3 spots.
Verifying the enemy's location.
So he did, and he actually identified all 3 areas, and there's no troops at all defending that island. So if I could somehow get to that island, I could actually take those if I wanted. I usually never do, because that's actually quite hard to do with all the other action going on, but it's a possibility. Okay, so when you select your ship, there's basically 4 things to understand. Well, there's a lot more than 4. I'm going to click on that to get that go away. First thing, this red line. That red line that you see is how far you can shoot. Now, how far I can shoot with what? That's down here. My secondary gun is selected. So let's look at this. My battleship has a main gun, which you can see does 19 damage to, or has a 19 attack rating against naval. And if I go to a secondary gun, it drops to 10. Okay, so obviously secondary gun, not as 127 millimeter gun's not going to be as powerful as a 406 millimeter gun. Okay, then I have anti-air, which made the air attack go up a bunch versus the others. Okay, so you can see that everything has a purpose. The engine is just my movement points, which is this down here, this little foot with the 6 out of 6, because I have 6 engine. So very simple, easy to understand. The developers did an amazing job with the user interface to this game. Yes, you have wonderful attack, wonderful abilities, and so forth. So that red line is how far this main gun can attack. If I go to the secondary gun, that's how far the secondary gun can attack. If I click on the main gun, that red line moves all the way out to where the white line is. See that? Because it shoots further. And then the anti-aircraft, you'll see, can only shoot 1 space away. All right? That's the red line. The white line is how far I can move. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 movement means 6 hexes. Very easy, very simple. Now, if I move 6 spaces, I will spend 6 fuel. So here it says I have 60 fuel. After I move 6 spaces, I will be down to, 54. And so it will spend the fuel as I use it. And then lastly, what are these white little square or cubes? So what the white cubes are is best described if I click on this port. This port supplies all the regions that are around here. So if any ship is inside of these white cubes that's supplied by this port, all of its ammunition and all of its fuel will automatically get replenished every turn, every single turn. So if you're fighting a large battle, it's very beneficial to be inside of your supply zone because you have unlimited ammo basically. And there's no harm
Ships are equipped with long.
in moving outside. It just means that at the end of my turn, I'm not going to get replenished. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to move.
Full steam ahead, Captain.
And I get to click to make it move quicker. And so I moved up to here, and yeah, the white cubes went away, but basically you can see it dropped to 54, and he's not going to get any replenished fuel this round. And it's no big deal. You could see I can move, I could probably move 10 turns before I need to refuel again. So it's, not 10 turns, sorry. Yeah, 10 turns. At 6 movement, I can move exactly 10 turns, and I need to refuel. All right, so this is the Yorktown. One of our objectives, by the way, is to join forces. And when you click on it, it takes you to your objective. That's pretty cool. I have to hold Port Moresby, which is over here. And Yorktown must be seaworthy. And if you remember from history books, the Japanese actually thought they sank the Yorktown, but it made it back to port. And then they told Nimitz it would take like 6 months or 9 months or whatever to get it seaworthy again. And he gave them 3 days. And then after the 3 days was up, the Yorktown actually showed up at Midway Battle and was one of the stars of the battle, and was a very integral part of the success. And it's actually quite a pretty cool success story if you've never read about it or seen it in the documentaries. So we are reenacting this Coral Sea scenario where the Yorktown is, of course, the primary target that they want to sink, and we need to keep it alive. So just like in a historical scenario, the Japanese are going to be coming from the north, and they're going to try to take this island of Tulagi, which is here. And I think historically they did, but we're going to be able to, I think, be able to protect this and prevent it from even being taken. And then later they're going to come from the north here, and from the north here, with an invasion force to invade Port Moresby, this little island and town. So our task right now, though, is to just reunite with this fleet, and then move up and take on this Tulagi force. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Aircraft carrier.
And then I'm going to select my destroyer. And destroyer is worth looking at here. If I show you, the destroyer has a main gun, a torpedo, anti-aircraft, depth charges, engine, and sonar. Every ship also has emergency repairs, and the way it goes is like they all do maintenance. So as you could read here, at the end of your turn, it removes 1 shell hole. I haven't explained what those are yet, but shell holes are basically when torpedoes hit you, they put a hole in your hull. Hole and hull are going to be really hard to pronounce, but you have 10 hull points, and those are not repairable. So if you lose the 10 hull points, your ship will sink and be destroyed forever. So a shell hole is something that if it's not repaired by the end of the turn, it will do 1 damage to your hull. So if you have 4 shell hole damage, the routine maintenance will remove at least 1 of them. So then you'd have 3 remaining, and you would take 3 damage to your hull, so this would drop to 7. So then the next round, let's say you don't take any more damage, you had 3 shell hole damages, you repair 1 of them, now you have 2 left, and that 7 hull that was there now drops to 5. So it's cumulative over rounds. You have to get it repaired eventually it will repair itself, assuming you don't run out of hull damage points. The emergency repair is you're allowed to instantly repair one ship part, or you can extinguish a fire or remove one of those shell holes. So that's something you can do. Now, a fire is something different. If your ship is on fire, what it does is it automatically does 2 damage to your ship parts. Every ship part has hit points, you can see here. And so the fires are a little different. They don't damage your hull, but they damage your ship parts, which could be bad if you're in the middle of a battle. And of course, if you're a carrier and you're on fire, you can't land and launch planes, which is also doubly bad. So, very big deal. Don't let that happen to you. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move and complete the first objective.
A destroyer is an S.
We have established contact with task.
Great. Take command of all ships. Yorktown alone would not stand a chance against.
Alright, so now it's triggering an event, and so a Japanese scout plane, or recon, spotted us.
Japanese recon aircraft has been sighted close to our task force.
It cannot be allowed to escape.
So we're not allowed to let it escape. Okay, so now I'm going to launch. So you can see these are all non-core planes. So
Carriers
I'm
are
going
the
to
main
launch
instrument
my
of
core
modern
fighter
warfare.
because I want to give experience points to my core units. The non-core units
through the air.
don't
The aircraft has been shot down.
they don't move with me to
Great.
the next
We
campaign. So
made
the experience
sure
points
he
for
was
them
not
isn't as
able
important.
to reveal our location.
So here you can see we got 20 victory points and prestige. So here we got a victory points added to our thing and 100 prestige added. We killed one enemy and we got 10 prestige for that enemy. And you can see that's reflected here. This thing to the right is just a more detailed version of what you're seeing over on the left. So that's how that plays out. Okay, so we did that. So now we just finished moving our units. And you can see, these
us.
units are now ours.
Your trust is
But
well
we can't
placed.
move them.
Your trust is well placed.
Not yet. We will next turn.
Your trust is well placed.
And one thing that I can also point out is that at every turn you can use your sonar. And that sonar will, if there was any enemy subs, it will detect them. Now, these submarines
fed up with seeing the same ugly mugs every
are always underwater. So you can see that. It's invisible to the enemy unless detected via sonar. It can be attacked only with depth charges or torpedoes. Now, one thing that I think is not described well here is that if I have a submarine and I move into the same exact space as another submarine, I do detect it. I don't know how or why, because it's not really written down, but I can detect enemy submarines that way. It's happened before where I just stumble upon one. Another thing, I'm not sure that destroyers can detect it when you move into the same space. I have to think about it, but I think the answer is no. So only the submarines seem to be able to do that. Now, when a submarine attacks, they're going to show up as like a red marker on the screen. So you'll see where a submarine attacked you. It's very obvious and very easy. And that doesn't mean the submarine's still there. It just means that that's where they attacked you. And if they had movement points left, they could have retreated. Sometimes they used all their movement points to get to you and attack you. And so they are exactly at that location. And so when you get to move your destroyers in and then annihilate them. Now, once a submarine is visible, so a destroyer used its sonar, it's visible, every other destroyer can hit that submarine. And what they can do is they can hit it with their depth charges and with their torpedoes. Now, since the submarines use torpedoes, they can also hit it. And your torpedo planes can hit a submarine. So anything with a torpedo can hit a submarine once it's visible. And then you can see here, this vulnerable is that any damage a submarine takes is doubled compared to what you would normally experience if you got hit by a torpedo. So once you get spotted, you're in trouble. And that's I don't think I need to get into much more detail there. I think if any of you ever played any game, you'll know what that means. Now, every unit, after it gets experience points, can level up and take a skill. Each of these skills will have explanations on the right, explaining what they do. There's equipment, which is grayed out right now, but you can buy equipment. So, for example, with the submarines, I can equip them with specialized torpedoes. It increases their damage done. They have torpedoes now, but it's basically an upgrade to their torpedoes. You know, things like that. I can equip them with night optics so they can see better at night, you know, stuff like that. There's also heroes. Each hero has a requirement of what they need, and there's one here for submarines, I think. Here we go. So I'm currently selecting a submarine. That's why it's showing me. I have to deal 40 damage to naval units hull, but not transports. So I have to do 40 damage to some kind of naval unit. And once I do, it'll unlock this hero. Now that hero won't go to the submarine that did the 40 damage. I get to pick who he goes to, and it could be anybody. But what it does is he gets special skills that submarine will have. Heroes are awesome. Let's just leave it at that. You want to unlock every one of these as soon as you can. Okay. And one of them actually gets unlocked simply
We will rock your world.
by spending recon points.
Verifying the enemy's
So
location.
doing exactly what I just did there. I just got to do that so many times and he'll unlock. But he doesn't unlock until 1943, so I think that's like, what, mission 3 or something like that. Anyways,
We'll
back to
carry you
this.
through this battle.
Fighter planes are vital
What
for
I'm gonna
gaining
do
air
is I'm gonna
superiority.
launch my
Keep your
planes
fighters close to allied aircraft you
protect
want to protect,
Tulagi.
and they will provide fire support. Fighters are able to attack ground targets, although with low efficiency. They can use the Overwatch breakthrough skill to counter enemy anti-aircraft fire and clear the way for tactical bombers.
Let's pray for good weather.
Do you have to go? Alright, I need to pause, so thank you for watching. Well, actually, I got a new feature now. I don't have to end this video. I can just pause it. So I will pause it, and I will see you in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. I think this pause feature is quite awesome. Let me flip back to the game here. So you should start hearing the sound from the game now. Alright, so we moved all of our planes, and we're basically protecting Tulagi with them.
The submarine is an invisible
And
enemy unless
this
it is
tutorial stuff I'm always going to just
We
click
have
through.
an island on board, sir.
Oh, we got 2 more planes.
Our planes are the best.
And technically speaking, we can actually...
I fly the newest model in my sleep.
They don't have any...
Enemies are high.
We can land our
You're
planes right now.
higher.
I cannot live without the skies.
And so you can see the number of pips here. This airfield can hold 9 planes.
We have an island on board, sir.
We'll go ahead up and
I hope there'll be no
land our next
enemy
plane.
fighters.
What's the point of landing a plane? If you land a plane, he refuels and, you know, has all of his ammo and stuff
Should
like
we
that.
not get paid
The drawback
better?
is if they pop out and start
Marines are bested only by
start
US
damaging
submarines.
the airfield, those planes get damaged along with it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end my turn.
From General MacArthur to Admiral Nimitz. My pilots spotted a group of Japanese warships heading for Tulagi Island. Apparently, they are planning to seize the island. Our garrison does not stand a chance against an attack. However, your fleet is capable of overpowering any invading forces. Now would be the perfect time for intervention. The troops on their transport ships are extremely vulnerable. You must help my men protect Tulagi.
I'd rather not take the reports of MacArthur's army pilots at face value. They are not accustomed to naval operations and can give us an incorrect assessment of the situation. We have to send our reconnaissance float plane to scout
So
the area
because this is
around
the first
Tulagi.
mission, it's being a bit of a tutorial here. So they want us to do a recon here. And I can arrange that.
With firepower, we can sink the whole country, I think.
And there you go.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Good.
So
Now we know for sure what's going on around
20 victory
Tulagi.
points, 100 prestige. So the 20 victory points showing up there, and the 100 prestige getting added to there. Obviously as the game goes on, these destroyers of the Japanese would be they'd have like the ability to intercept planes. And it's not going to be as easy at scouting as I just made it look later in the game. But obviously for the first mission, they don't have any of those upgrades yet.
We're on a floating
So
fortress.
this is my battleship. Yeah, they talk. I guess the battleship captains are all from Britain. And that's okay. They're our buddies. I just didn't realize they had panache for all of our Colorado class battleships. But I'm going to move into here so I can get resupplied.
Time to move.
So basically what happened was is I moved out of the supply range from this port here. That supply range ended, and then this port started. And that's basically what happened. And that's fine. I had plenty of fuel. There was no risk of anything. And what I'm doing is I'm moving my battleship up to take on these guys. These transports, these 3 transports here, are all going to try to land on the island. They are a pain in the butt if you let them land. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you want to take them out sooner rather than later.
We will rock your world.
The problem is like when I move this,
Finally,
this is
some
another.
action.
This is actually like a heavy cruiser, the Northampton. His range, even with his best gun, is only to there. We're just a little bit short.
Can that serve in another vessel?
And then the
These guys are
submarines,
boring.
they can be
I'm
helpful,
fed up with
but these
seeing
are 3
the same
destroyers we're up
ugly
against.
bugs every
So
day.
I don't recommend
Under
sending
water
submarines
we
against
lie.
destroyers.
Searching
Everybody
for
else,
enemy
though,
subs.
not so bad
Searching for
of
enemy
an option.
subs. Conducting active search for enemy subs.
In full flight. We reach for
So
the
yeah,
stars.
I'm moving my carriers up as well. And it's not a good idea to keep our planes in the base because these destroyers will all just light up our base. So we got some options here. We can use our planes to take out their transports, which I think is worth doing. The risk we're going to have is we are going to take damage from these anti-aircraft. The destroyers have decent anti-aircraft. But I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Aircraft is different from
And this is going to be...
Take it. Take it, bitch.
Yeah, I forgot. There's some swear language. Apparently the fighters in this game have
Godspeed.
anger issues.
Our attitude is as crazy as our altitude.
Their attitude is as crazy as their altitude. That's... So take it! The funniest one is the Marine Commander. You do get ground troops in this game, and the Marine Commander says, "Fire at will," and then you hear someone say, "Wait, our sergeant is Will." I just love that one.
Yahoo!
But yes, these
Lives are in the sky.
these fighters do have some
This
spunk,
is hell, as in Hellcat.
and the Hellcat one, of course, is not as funny when you're in a Buffalo. I don't know why they're called Wildcats. I thought the F4 F3 was a Buffalo, but I could be wrong.
tactical bombers are flying artillery.
It's raining death. We'll get there in no time.
So I let
On the
my...
ground,
Oh,
everything's
here's
so
another thing.
hectic. In
Um,
time, you begin to see the beauty of falling bombs.
When you see damage, you're going to see it in the format of a number / another number. The number on the left is actual deaths. So that's going to be damage you're going to have to repair at the end of the game. And you're going to start seeing that show up here. So right now my fighter took a death. So that's why I got -10 prestige here. So see how that's starting to fill in as we go? And then it's showing up over here as core units repair -10. So I'm going to have to reinforce this fighter.
Enemies are high. We are higher.
Now, here's the thing, as you may have astutely seen here, is that if there's 10 strength points and he's down to 8, why do I only have to repair 1? And that's because it's a number / a number. The number to the right of the slash are like wounded. Morale. Think of it that way. It's wounded or morale. So as long as I can get back to a carrier and land, the strength of this unit will go back up to a 9. It'll never go to a 10. There is a way to do like right here, reinforcements. You can do it during the operation at 50% of the unit's price. That's very expensive. And then after the operation, all units are automatically restored for 20% of their price. So it's cheaper if you wait until the end of the operation. Okay, and that's why they told you it's going to cost 10. Okay, so right now his strength was reduced to 9, but there's a wounded that reduces it to 8. If it ever gets to 0, they actually don't die until they take a damage after 0. So it's really weird, but it's possible for you to have a plane that has 0 strength, but it's still alive. If it takes any damage of any kind, it will get destroyed after that. It's also possible that you have 2 strength and you'll get destroyed. It all depends on how much damage you get and what's doing the damage to you. But anyways, I hope that made sense. And basically, they have 1 unit left, and I have one. I think it's a dive bomber.
Carriers are the main instrument of modern warfare.
Hope it's in here. Aircraft. So I got actually 2 units left. They're both.
Let's pray for good weather.
So this is a torpedo guy. If I try to torpedo the destroyers, you can see I'm going to take 2 damage. They're going to take nothing. Or I can just try to hit it. You can actually shut off the torpedo by just clicking on it. So now it's going to act like a regular bomber. And there you can see I'm actually going to do 2 damage to him. And I'm going to go ahead and do that to this guy.
When we fly, our enemies are closer to go.
Damage is indicated with the numbers above the unit being attacked. For ground and aircraft units, there are 2 types of damage, lethal and non-lethal.
There you go, lethal
Both
and non-lethal.
And non-lethal damage decrease the unit's strength. However, non-lethal damage at the same time increases the number of units damaged, which can later be restored. Naval units always receive only lethal damage. However, they have multiple ship parts with their corresponding HP. Thus, damage against them is split.
So actually, they explained it better than I did. But basically, yeah, it's lethal and non-lethal. And so this guy took 1 lethal damage. And if you look on here, the core units, the non-core units, they still have to be repaired, and they've not taken any lethal damage. So this guy at 9, this one at 8, and this one at 9, all of it's non-lethal so far. Okay, coming back to here.
I was born a pilot.
We're going to
I
fly
hope there'll be no enemy fighters.
there
We
and
dread
finish him off.
outcomes greater bombs.
Alright, so our torpedoes finished off, so they're not going to be landing on the island. The reason why landing on the island is a pain because our naval units then have to bombard the island. There's only 1 marine unit here defending the island, and instead of killing their ships, we're busy bombarding. We could use our airplanes to bomb them, the dive bombers being the only ones that are super good at hitting soft units like that, but the torpedo bombers, you can shut off the torpedoes and they really can do some damage.
Submariners are the elite of the
Okay,
Navy.
so I'm done with my
It
turn,
is us.
and my biggest concern is these planes. I'm worried about them, but there's nothing I can do about it now. And there they go. They're shooting their anti-aircraft. And notice how these little red triangles are showing up below the plane. Every time a plane's attacked, its defense values go down. And oh my gosh, it was down to 1 health. And now they're attacking blue units, which are not ours, so we don't have to pay for those. And here they made it to me, and then they just did 3 hull damage to me, and probably a shell hole as well. I don't know. But I'm clicking the button to move it up a little bit faster. There it is. I got a shell hole damage. Okay, and then every 3rd turn, it's nighttime. So there's 2 day phases and 1 night phase. So let me click on this guy to show you some damage. So he's got a shell hole damage. And it says each shell hole instantly reduces the move points by 1 and deals 1 damage at the end of the turn. But bear in mind that this, at the end of the turn, will remove 1 shell hole, and the maintenance happens first. So this shell hole is not going to do any more damage to me, unless I get more shell holes. So if I have 2 shell holes, then I am going to get a damage. My hull has been reduced to 17 because that torpedo did 3 hull damage and applied a shell hole. So it reduced my hull, and it possibly will reduce it even more, because if I had 6 of these shell holes, I'm in trouble. Because at the end of this round, I would take 5 hull damage, and then I'd repair 1, and then I'd take 3 more. That's 8 more damage. So it adds up fast. The other thing is nighttime. During the nighttime, all units receive a 66% attack penalty. Spottage range is reduced in half, but never lower than 1. And if I click on their weapon here, you can see they normally do 15 naval damage, but now it's reduced by 5. And you can see The night reduces it by 10, but our radar increases it by 5. So the radar cuts the nighttime damage by half. So the U.S. units have radar. It's a very nice thing. I never played as Japan yet in this game. I'm very curious if they have radar. They may, I'm assuming they do, but maybe in the early game they don't. It'll be interesting. But the U.S. units have it. And I actually unlock a hero by spending command points. So we're going to go ahead and spot those. And since I have command points to burn, I'm going to check here.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Because they do spawn here. Obviously, you don't know that if it's your first time ever playing, but trust me, they do. Okay, we got to destroy these 3. Here's what's annoying about them. They will launch torpedoes at you if you're within torpedo range, which is 2 hexes. So this guy here
is an enemy unit.
Can hit us with a torpedo. So if I'm attacking him with this unit, he will hit me with a torpedo. This one and this one will not, though. So the other thing you want to do is let's talk about how damage gets applied. If I attack this escort ship, let's say I do it with like my main guns. My main guns, let's say it does 8 damage. That 8 damage is going to get divided among the hull, here, the main gun, the torpedoes, the anti-aircraft, the depth charges, the engine. All of those things are going to take the damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's going to be 1 damage to all 6 of those, and then 2 more damage somewhere else. Chances are it won't be the hull or the main gun. The main gun has armor. It's armored just like the hull is. Everything else is considered a soft target, including secondary guns if it had any. So here's the thing.
We're on a floating fortress.
When we attack with our secondary gun, it's clearly not as big. And you can see there that it has a naval attack of 10, a soft attack of 7. Don't confuse the soft attack I just mentioned with the soft target. It's doing 10 naval damage to the enemy ship. The difference, though, is that the soft gun will not do any damage to the hull of the ship or the main gun because it's too armored. This is not a big enough gun to break through. So these secondary guns will take out the other things like the anti-aircraft, the torpedoes, all those other targets. So if you attack with the secondary guns first, you can damage all those softer targets and even in some cases eliminate them. And they're not eliminated permanently, but for the purposes of this discussion, they no longer have any hit points left. And so then you switch to your main guns and then you attack. Now your main gun isn't being divided amongst 8 different components. It's now being divided amongst your hull and your main gun, and that's it. And so let me show you how this works. So I'm going to do my secondary gun, and I'm going to attack here. And you can see on the right it says Kagero class, and it shows that it's getting a -7 night and a +4 radar. Because what's going to happen is he's going to attack me with his 127mm gun. So he's attacking me for 7 total attack. I'm attacking him for 15. It's saying that he's going to get 2 lethal damage and I'm going to get 0. And then it shows you down below the different attack values and yeah, it's just giving you a nice little summary of what's going to happen. It shows my attack and the return fire. So they're going to do return fire to me and maybe they're going to do 2 lethal damage. That's what it looks like they're going to do. And then we're going to do our attack, and we're going to do 2 lethal damage to them. Let's see if that... Hence, that's the reason why it says 2 and 2. Okay? So let's see... and it shows you their defense. That's what I was looking for. So I have 15 total defense, and they have 7 total attack. So they're going to do a 7 attack against our 15 defense, and we're going to do a 7 attack against their 10 defense. But we're adding 10 strength from... So they're doing a 17 attack to our 15. We're doing a 16 to their 10. Let's just see how this plays out. Okay. So there you saw we took 2 damage, a secondary gun and anti-aircraft. And they only took 1. That's interesting. Let's try again.
How would you like that?
There we go. Now I did 3 damage to them. And one of it was to the hull. And I think it's because since I'm a heavy cruiser and this is a lower class ship, even my secondary guns can damage their hull. And take notice, they damaged my secondary gun and my anti-aircraft in the process of their return fire. So now I'm going to do my main, but let's check them out first. We damaged their main gun a little, their torpedo by quite a bit, but everything else is at full health. So if I attack them now with my main gun, I'm suspecting that it's going to get divided amongst everything. Just like that. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay? So their hull took a damage, and their depth charges and anti-aircraft did not. So even though it was divided, it was, you know, there's certain things that didn't take damage. So then I'm going to check again.
1 Bolivar shelling worth more than
And
my house.
I'm able to hit his hull. So basically, what it's saying is my gun was big enough that I'm able to damage its hull. Obviously, if it's not, like I said, it'll only hit the other things. But I got his engine down pretty bad. So he's damaged. He's actually near sinking. Even though he has parts on the ship that are fully at full function, he is almost sunk. So that's the thing. The hull is the most important and precious thing, not necessarily the parts. The hull is not the sum of its parts. He 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 he. Okay. So with that being said, we also have nighttime, which cuts things in half. There's a lot of variables going on. It's a cool game. So
We're
now we
ready to
go
fly.
to our ships. So let's use them. And I'm trying to see, like here, I'm going to take 2 damage. They're only going to take 1. And I think it's because it's nighttime. I really do.
You can see the world's harmony in the skies.
Yeah, it's because it's nighttime. I think we're just not that good. So I'm going to hold on. I don't know if I want to take that much. And let's do a check here. So here you can see my capital ship has taken 75 prestige worth of damage. That's this guy.
We will rock your world.
I lost 3 hull strength. So that's 75 damage for repairs at the end of the game. Or end of the mission. So even though I'm using my non-core guy, I'm still accumulating
island
damage I
on
have to
board, sir.
repair. Okay, I'm going to
This
move
is
my
the way to
carrier up,
go.
and we're going to finish him off.
We're on the warpath.
Because here's the other thing. This guy is not returning fire anymore. You can notice that by on the top right, you can see there's only an attack. There's no longer a return fire section. And it's largely because these little pips are red. So he returned fire twice, and he used up all of his pips. The torpedo would return fire, but we're outside of his torpedo range. Anti-aircraft would also return fire, but I'm not attacking him with an airplane. So you see how this is playing out? If I try to attack him with a sub, his depth charges could return fire, because they do return fire right here against submarines. But I'm getting... So this is basically, I get a free shot against him. He's no longer able to return fire. And this is a turn-based game. It's basically simulating that I'm attacking with multiple ships against the same target. But I get to pick which ship attacks first. So that's the cool part about a turn-based game. So let's try again.
Stay away and launch planes.
And you can see I'm just damaging the crap out of him. But he still has 1 hull. And it's because all these other components absorbed the 5 damage that I applied to him. But that's okay. I have another
Mobile
carrier,
airfield at your disposal. There we go.
and I'm going to finish him
Fire!
off.
Enemy
Oh,
killed.
but he
Let's
lost.
call it a side job.
See, I made a mistake. I got within 2 hexes of him, and he launched his torpedo at me. So I just got lucky that his torpedo did no damage, because it's nighttime. I'm an unidentified unit. So I was showing up as a question mark to him, and so his torpedo had a larger chance of missing me. I got lucky. I made a huge mistake just charging in like that. But anyways, I'm fine. I could have taken some
All these
torpedo
fancy
damage.
new carriers will not replace
And
good old 400
This
millimeter
battleship
naval
isn't quite close
guns.
enough. His secondary guns can't reach. But his primary guns sure can. So let's do that. I'm going to shoot his 2 primary guns at this.
That ship is about to disappear.
And I'm out of his range. So that's what makes it even more beautiful. And you can see I'm doing the 1-1-1-1.
Get to use our guns.
So see how that always plays out? So it's really hard to sink a ship when all of his components are full health. So if you could reduce his components, it actually does help. But what I'm doing, though, by attacking them like this, is that I'm making it so my planes are going to take less damage. You see that? Now, the reason this guy's lighting up red, or this one's lighting up red when I select the other one, it's just showing that they're going to support each other. So if I try to attack this one, his anti-aircraft fire is going to go after me. That's what that's saying. So I have 3 destroyers of my own. Destroyer against destroyer, it's going to be a slugfest, but I can still do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move
blow up some enemy vessels.
my battleship in. We're going to switch to his secondary.
Our
And
guns are too big to fail.
so this guy's weapon was not even able to penetrate my armor. That's why I took 0 damage.
Let's see who has the bigger caliber.
And there you can see I did a whole bunch of damage. I'm even doing a lot of hull damage to him. And then what I'm going to
We
do
have an
is my
island on
carrier's
board,
going to finish
sir.
him off.
Aren't we supposed to carry planes, not kill everyone?
Just like that. Alright, so we got 1 guy left. I still have my 2 submarines if I wanted to use them on him. Although this guy's really far away.
Your trust.
You know what? I would rather attack this 1 guy left
You can
with...
see the world's harmony in the skies.
Let's do it. I'm going to take out his
In time, you
anti-aircraft.
begin to see the beauty of falling bombs.
When you use dive bombers, you get to select what part of the ship you want to hit. So I did 1 hull damage and 1
I hope
anti-aircraft.
there'll be no enemy fighters.
Those are all fighters.
I was born a pilot. We'll blow them up, shall we? I like
So,
flying.
Attacking
It's
at night's really
liberating.
hard.
If the infantry is the heart of the
for
armed
your-
forces, the air force is their soul.
So I'm going to shut off the torpedoes.
It's raining death. Our planes
So
are
you
the
can see
best.
I'm doing some damage to him, but it's not like,
Let's pray for good weather.
it's not a lot.
The sound of falling bombs.
That
is
one didn't do
soothing in a
any.
way.
Our lives are in the skies. This is hell, as in Hellcat. Godspeed.
I damage his anti-aircraft. Okay, so you see these little down red arrows? As you get attacked, you lose defense values. So your defense values actually get lower. It's not showing it here because I guess
Our attitude is as crazy as our altitude. Consider us already there.
but the one thing I did want to show you is that guy had 1 health. So I just landed him and he jumped up to 8. So you see what I mean by lethal versus non-lethal? He was down to 1 strength, but 7 of his damage was non-lethal. So he only took 2 lethal damage. And that's represented, of course, here and then here.
Our attitude is as crazy as our altitude.
Sometimes I don't
climb
understand
through
the numbers
air.
when I look at him, because if he took 2 lethal damage, why am I still only at -10? But that -10 was for core units. For non-core, it's 87. So that would be the 75 for the capital ship and 12 for a tactical bomber. Again, my tactical
We're
bomber's
eager
at
to
9.
fly.
Oh, did the Wildcat repair all the way?
Ah,
It did.
we
Holy
have trouble
buckets.
hearing your orders at this altitude.
I don't know how I got that wrong, folks, but... So all 9 of his damage was... That's very interesting. Okay,
300 millimeters of armor is no joke.
so now we need to finish it off with our transports. And I'm going to go ahead and use
On the lookout.
this transport first.
We fight.
So as you can see, I just took 1 hull damage.
We are the fastest ship.
But now I'm able to attack him with that return fire.
Providing escort. Keep firing. Time We have
And we got
crushed the
'em.
Japanese invasion force.
Well done.
And then we get 30
the first
experience
time
for all of our
during this
naval
war,
units and
our-
150 prestige. Can't
On
complain
the
about
lookout.
that.
Your trust is well placed.
Right, so naval experience there, you can see is 35. So I got 30 because we completed that objective, and then 5 for that attack that he did. Actually, it even tells you, dealing damage to enemy units, 1 damage equals 1 experience. Losing strength during an attack is 10 experience for you. You gain experience points for losing damage, or losing strength, taking damage. And if we kill or capture a unit, you get 10. So this one's at 35, so I'm fully expecting this one would be at like 45. There it is, 43. Because that guy actually killed a unit. And then our aircraft carrier should have some serious damage or experience too, 80. Because we killed 2 units with him. And then every attack of a carrier-based aircraft, so the aircraft that was in our carrier that we launched, gets us 2 experience points when the aircraft attacks. So we get experience points even when our aircraft is out doing damage. So it's a pretty interesting game. I do love all the math and stuff that's going on behind the scenes. It's very good. Okay, so I spent way too much time on that turn. My submarines can move.
Fed up with seeing the same ugly mugs every day.
Oh, this looks like a death trap. One of the things to understand is that your supply, if you stay along the edge to get resupplied, the AI knows that that's where you like to put your subs, because you're basically getting as close as you can to scouting, but staying within your range. So the AI will move right next to these edges and then use their sonar and find you, as if they were cheating and knew you were there. But I have confirmed that if you are willing to move out into the open ocean, they don't find you as easily. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. So you can see all the resupply and stuff that was happening was popping up
Sir,
on the...
We have intercepted a radio exchange between the ships of a large...
The
So-
Japanese main carrier force.
Japanese main carrier force approaching.
Paid better? Will there be enemy cargo ships? Will like swimming? Not really.
Okay, so
You can see the world's harmony in the skies. We'll hope for the best.
I'm just going to try to land my planes here.
We'll hope for the best.
And this will show that he's on a land-based, and this is a carrier-based. It's nice to get
In
your
God
planes
we
back to
trust.
the carriers, because your carriers get experience points when your planes do things.
I was born a pilot.
If you launch them from a carrier, of course.
Our attitude is as crazy as our altitude. Our lives are in the skies. We are high in the sky.
Okay, so all my planes are landed.
Mobile airfield at
So
your disposal.
now my carrier is going to go ahead and move. I'll
Do we
move
really
this
have
way.
to go through all that again? In full flight.
All these fancy new carriers will not
And
replace good
this
old
guy,
400
as you saw, took
millimeter
damage.
naval guns.
And you can see some of it's repaired. And his shell hole disappeared, and his hull damage did not take any damage, just like I predicted. So one more turn, and he will be fully repaired, because he's 1 hit point away from having this fully repaired. And just like the maintenance says, he repairs 3 hit points per turn. So now the priority, that the fact that he repaired his anti-air before his secondary gun, I don't know what those priorities are, but I think the anti-air is always favored.
Full steam
Um,
ahead, Captain.
I think the game just assumes that you're
Reporting
going to
as
take your
ordered.
damage mostly from
On the lookout.
mostly from airplanes.
Is there anything better than serving on a US battleship? I don't
Alright.
think so.
So you can see here, I'm back to my 26 max. So even though I'm spending 5 points, I keep getting it replenished because
the enemy's location.
I do get 18 points a turn. So what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for, they said that a fleet was coming.
Verifying the enemy's location.
I'm just looking for it.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Here's what I can tell you with my experience in this game. I know they're coming here. But if you mad rush for this, what happens is they just pop up off the edge of the map. It's a little annoying. And I promise you, most of the scenarios don't have this edge popping mechanic. But they pop up off the edge and then they just start guns a-blazing. I mean, they're like a cowboy jumping out of a trap door and you didn't see them. And then, they ambush you basically. So you don't want to get too close to it because I'm actually worried about my subs right now. But anyways, I'm going to hit end turn. And I don't know what's taking so long. Oh, there we go. So they're coming with these planes that popped in from... Okay, so those planes are attacking my carriers. So they just did some serious hull damage. I should have maybe left my fighters in escort mode.
Sir,
so yeah.
According to the radio interception, enemy carriers are preparing to launch an air attack on our ships. Transport ship Neosho and destroyer Sims bound for Port Moresby. The Japanese mistakenly identified them as a carrier and a cruiser.
We must protect our convoy.
I couldn't.
So the way the game's supposed to be is you're supposed to not get detected, your carriers, and then they launch their air force to go after these two. But for whatever reason, they detected my carriers there. I don't know how, but they did. And you can see they launched everything they had. So this particular carrier has one shell hole. I'm not worried. It'll get repaired. And this one, same deal. So I took 3 hull damage, and that's going to be expensive. So there you can see that cost me 100 prestige, just that mistake. So it hurts. I'm at minus 231, but only 130 on the other side. But the first thing I get to do is my anti-aircraft guns are going to make short work of these.
They seem to have changed their mind, sir.
There's that example where they flee with 0 health. But then I flip over to this and
Can't we just stay
pop.
away and launch plane?
And I'm going to hit that one too.
We'll carry you through this battle.
We'll carrier you through this battle. Hee hee
Can't we
hee.
just stay away and launch planes? We're on the warpath. Can't we just stay away and launch planes?
So there we go. So that should be really good experience again. Yeah, I'm up to 97. So now I'm going to launch some
Enemies are high.
Wildcats.
We are higher.
I swear they're Buffalo, but
This is hell.
they're
As in
called Wildcat in this
Hellcat.
game.
Our lives are in the skies. Godspeed.
This is hell. As in Hellcat.
So we got him. And some nice experience for him. And this one should be more than 94. Or it's 101. So we got the 2 experience. We got 4 experience points, actually. It was a 97. We got 4 because our 2 planes that launched attacked. That's actually
We
pretty
reach
cool.
for the
I
stars.
just learned
We
that
live
on this video here.
Fly.
These guys just cannot learn their place.
It's on the ground.
Alright, so that's me attacking with all my fighters. But I got all kinds of advantages here because these anti-aircraft on your destroyers have a range of 2.
Firing as we go. We will teach them humility.
And that sucks that he moved all the way over there. But I need to do some exploring.
With that
So
much
let's-
firepower, we can sink the whole country. I
So you do
think.
have seaplanes you could launch, which also help you explore, but I'm going to use the recon. And
Verifying the enemy's
there they
location.
are. So you can see they got 2 fighter planes protecting their carriers, and then 2 destroyers, which is going to make our submarines have a tough day. So
How may I be of assistance? Patrolling the area.
yeah, I'm going to move in.
How may I be of assistance?
Here's the thing. If I want to go hunt him down, I have to move my ship all the way around the other end of the island, and I don't want to do that. So this is not going to be close enough to hit him with anti-aircraft,
On the
but I'll
lookout.
go ahead and move him in.
We
This
are the
one
fastest ship.
will get
On
close
the
enough,
lookout.
though. So we're going to do some anti-aircraft.
Keep firing. Continue the onslaught.
Alright, so see how these two little red triangles, this is what I was trying to show you before. Right here, you can see he was previously attacked, so his defense value dropped by 2. So this plane is getting easier and easier to hit the more times we attack it. Okay, a lot of choices here. Obviously, I want to take those out, but let me get my battleship in. Actually, we have 2 battleships.
Is there anything better than
Gonna bring this
serving
guy
on a
in.
US battleship?
The secondary gun
I
can't
don't
quite
think
reach
so.
anything. Oh, his secondary gun with the heavy cruiser also passes as an anti-aircraft, so you can see that here. So I'm going to be able to actually hit the plane.
Let's see who has the bigger caliber. Oh yes, we'll show them our main gun.
Alright, so then the main gun, I'm going to go ahead and attack
That ship is about to disappear.
the destroyer.
Have to be careful, if you know.
Now you might be thinking, go after the carrier. They're the juicy meat. The carriers are so easy to take out. The destroyers are actually your big problems.
Is there anything better than serving on a US battleship?
Alright, so
I
here
don't
you can see
think
I'm
so.
just one space away. But I can use my main gun, and I'm going to keep picking on this destroyer and just damaging the crap out of it and destroying it. Now, why is the destroyer a problem? The destroyer is a problem because that torpedo will damage any ship I have except for maybe my own destroyer. This is going to damage probably my destroyers, but this can damage my sub because he has sonar and depth charges, and I don't want my subs to take damage. And here's, I want my subs to do some sweet carrier action here. So what's going to happen?
Underwater we glide.
I'm going to attack this carrier, and this will signify to the enemy I have a submarine and this is his last known location. If I don't have enough movement points to retreat, then he will come in and he'll do a sonar here, and he would detect me in any of these spaces, and then he will just unleash fury on me. And so by getting rid of one of the destroyers, what would happen is one destroyer would come in and sonar here, the other destroyer will say, oh, the sub must have moved. Then he'll take a guess and go down here, here, or there. He might find me. That's the point I'm trying to make. The AI is pretty smart in some cases. So in this situation, I am going to light up this carrier for 4 hull damage.
Good luck patching out that hull.
So I did 3 hull damage, but he has a shell hole now. And then I'm going to retreat to there.
Will there be enemy cargo ships?
Now with this one, I want to do the same thing. I want to attack from the same location because I don't want them to have 2 locations to attack from. And I'm going to do the same thing.
Bitches.
So we just did 3 damage and another shell hole. And I'm going to retreat
Will I become a hero?
to there.
Guess not.
So this guy now has 2 shell hole damage. He's going to be able to repair 1, but then at the end of his turn, he will take 1 hull damage, and that will drop to a 9. And there's nothing he can do about it. Unless he uses emergency repair. That he could do. Alright,
Providing
so considering I wasn't able to do
We
any
are the
more damage... Oh,
fastest ship.
actually, I do have... Where's my fighters? Oh, I use them.
We'll carry you through this battle.
So I have my bombers.
Our world is full of wonders. Carriers are one of them.
So I'm going to move my carriers a little closer.
Carriers are the main instrument of modern warfare.
I could launch my bombers. I could damage this carrier pretty badly, but these are both fighters that will just tear me apart. So I'm going to hold. As far as the Prestige War is going, you could see I just pushed it to the advantage. So even though I lost 231, I did enough damage to get 260 of it back. I'm going to go ahead and hit end turn. Interesting. So they're charging forward. Right into our submarines. And, uh-oh. Where's he going? Is he really going to find me? And so, yeah, you could land planes and take them off like he did. And then that one, I don't... Oh, there it is. So he spotted me. And there he did 2 damage to my hull. Punk. I got lucky. I was 2 spaces away from him. So their carrier is attacking my destroyer and taking that damage. Their destroyers are attacking my battleship for some reason. And I'm just going to hit the button to move this through this turn quicker. Now, it auto-saves at the end of the round, so that's the reason why the game paused up like that. Okay. So this guy is a 0. Why they sent a fighter to attack me there, I have no idea. It is nighttime, so that part sucks.
I'm fed up
This
with
guy took
seeing the
damage,
same
and that
ugly
sucks.
mugs every day.
And you can see right here, because of nighttime, my damage of 4 got reduced to 1.
Didn't expect that.
But I'm still doing it. And I'm going to go ahead and
Will like swimming.
get back into supply.
Not really. U.S. Marines are best
And I'm
going
going to
to
do the same
US
with this one.
government.
I did 0 damage. Oh my gosh. I should have gotten closer, because you actually take a range penalty.
It looks too
That 0
deep here.
damage just
Won't we
blows.
drown?
Here,
How may I be of assistance?
I have some anti-aircraft I can expend.
Fire all gun. Fire all gun.
We will rock your world. Fire! It's raining hell! Fire! It's raining hell!
Okay, he's doing really well.
Volley of our shelling worth more than my house.
Remember the U.S. bastard. The enemy crumbled.
Oh, that
Continue
should
the
finish him
onslaught.
off.
Now we finish them.
Alright, we got him. And I wanted to get him with my core units, because you get 10 experience points for that. The other thing is these heroes. I cannot stress enough. Like this one, see, I have to select a fighter to even see what I need to do. But like this one, I need to do 30 damage to aircraft. That's a hard one to do. The capital ships is like, I think, enemy capital ships damage. And then, of course, the infantry one we can't even unlock yet because we don't have any infantry yet. But that's the idea. And
You don't need islands when you have carriers.
I said 3 fighters that I didn't even use.
Godspeed.
So we're going to
Our
go ahead
attitude
and
is
land
as
them.
crazy as our altitude. Enemies are high. We are higher.
Alright.
We reach
So,
for the stars.
carrier, I'm going to...
Ready to launch our air
I always
force.
confuse them
This
for
is the way
tanks
to
and
go.
charge them forward. So technically I could attack a carrier with a carrier. So let's go ahead.
Suck a lemon.
I took
Can
0
we just
damage.
Stay away and launch planes.
That one took a damage. That hurt. I'm at 117 now. Alright, what else do we do?
We keep traditions of the Navy.
If I can stay out of range... The range of this is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Aye,
Yeah.
aye, sir.
So I'm going to shoot this guy
Oh, yes.
out of his range.
That ship is about to disappear.
He's just going to take a lot of damage.
All these fancy new carriers will not replace good old 400mm naval guns.
And I'm going to... He still has both his pips.
Is there anything better than serving on a US battleship? I don't think so.
So I just did a lot of damage to him, and I can use my secondary guns,
Let's see who has the bigger
finish him
caliber.
off,
Let's see who has the bigger caliber.
and secondary guns against him.
We keep traditions of the Navy.
We aim for the sky.
And
Providing
yeah,
air
now I can bring in my destroyers,
Going full speed ahead.
and I have like torpedoes, for example.
Continue the onslaught.
And then just regular gun.
We will teach them humility. Escort ships are the glue that holds the Navy together. Take them out.
I keep forgetting it's nighttime, so I'm getting like big disadvantages to my attacks.
Take them out. Time for the reckoning. Take them out.
And getting experience points for your destroyers is really nice. The hardest one to get experience points for, in my opinion, are your subs. So you definitely want to
another vessel?
get those attacks
These
in as
guys
much
are
as you can.
growing.
We
And I
are
think
the
I got this
fastest
one. It's
ship.
my only one left.
Patrolling the area. Firing as we go.
From Admiral
There it
Nimitz
is.
to Admiral Kang. During the battle,
From
Alright, so we're going to hit end turn. So now they're going to attack Port Moresby. This was supposedly an attack, but it was like wave 1, I guess. Oh, there's that bomber that had 0 health. I totally forgot about him. So yeah, there's a destroyer coming in with a sonar. This was the other fighter. He's down there harassing that guy. Interesting. We do have to protect them. And all these planes came, so there's another carrier somewhere. There it is. Holy cow, they're attacking me with the carrier. They must think their carrier's a tank too. And I think this is where some people don't like the realisticness of the game because the carriers are way too close in the battle than they would be in real life. I get it. I really don't think that there's even a, you know, if that's
From
something you
General
believe
MacArthur
strongly
to
in
Admiral
and it
Nimitz.
ruins the game for you,
Air reconnaissance has
you're
spotted
entitled
a
to that.
large group of Japanese
But this is a
transport
fun
ships
game,
approaching Port
even
Moresby
with
from
the
the
rules
north.
the way they are.
It looks like the landing operation is about to begin. All ships and aircraft
from Admiral.
All right. So we got a lot of stuff going on. They got their bombers and one fighter here. They have one fighter down here that
We keep traditions of the Navy.
I don't know where it went,
Verifying the enemy's location.
but they had one.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Looks like they got
Verifying the enemy's location.
that guy there.
Verifying the enemy.
Yep, that's quite a force. And I'm willing to bet they got some here too.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Yep. All right, so they got a heavy cruiser, a destroyer. That's these two. And then 4 transports. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transports, and then a carrier and a destroyer, and then somewhere down here is a rogue fighter plane that I don't know where he is now. So many options. One, I can try to take down these planes with my anti-aircraft, and then use my own planes. Well, let's do that.
You don't need
So,
islands when you have
anti-aircraft.
carriers. We'll put them to
Bing.
flight, sir.
And
We'll
Bing.
put them to flight, sir.
And then I'm going to take out.
Can't we just stay
You.
away and launch plane
And I'm actually going to move
in full flight?
and take out
We're
you.
on the warpath. Easy come, easy go.
So take out a transport with my
We'll carry you through this battle.
carrier. This carrier could do the same thing. Take out 2 transports, or he could go after the plane. Which would I prefer? I don't know if I get 10 experience points for taking out a transport or not, but that was pretty awesome.
We have an island on board, sir.
I think I'm gonna take out the plane.
Hey!
Because these fighters are
Where
a
are our
little annoying.
escort ships? We're on the warpath! We're on the warpath! We're on the warpath!
See, that fighter stayed alive anyways. Okay, so
All
let's...
systems are go.
I'm gonna send out my Wildcat that
Godspeed.
is core and get 10 experience
You
points.
want them down.
Because the 10 experience points is a lot. If I did like 6 damage, that's a lot too, but I think got 11 experience points for that.
Better to die than to live and not fly.
Let's
Our
wait.
world is full of wonders.
I got
Carriers
more
are one of them.
anti-aircraft here.
One volley of our shelling worth more than my house.
That's actually funny. Alright, I need to move one space to be able to hit that punk. So I'm going to go
Where
ahead
are
and
we
do that.
headed? Let's see who has the bigger Fire! It's raining hell! Let's see who has the bigger caliber. Time to wreck some hole.
Got him.
I'm fed up with seeing the same ugly mugs
Alright,
every
submarine.
day.
Use this full movement. So the enemy's going to know he was revealed here, and I do not get
US
to move him
Marines
away.
are bested only by
And
US
this one's
sub-
actually not even going to be able to make it. Dang it. So with that situation,
Will I
I will
become
go
a
this
hero?
way.
Guess not.
And I got a lot of stuff going on here. I can...
Aye, aye, sir. Bang, bang, bang.
This was not the smartest move. I
Finally,
had fighters.
get to
I
use
forgot.
a gun. Whoa,
I should have
bang
used them to
busted
take out
for
units.
good.
Going full speed ahead. Remember the U.S. bastard? They got what was coming to them. Got 'em. Firing as we go.
So I sent a torpedo after him. I gotta check to see if transports give me experience. So let's check out. I have exactly 58.
Providing air cover. Seeking out the enemy. Take. They'll cause us no more trouble. Enemy down.
So that would put me at 78. 94. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful experience. So I got the 20 for sinking them, and then I got the 16 because of 1 damage equals 1 experience. That was like huge experience. Sweet.
Fire away. Providing air cover.
And
Seeking
come
out
on
the
in.
enemy. They won't escape. Fire all gun. Continue the onslaught.
You don't need islands when you have carriers.
When we fly, our enemies are close. Our planes are the best.
I'm just trying to like maximize my core
We aim
experience.
for the sky.
The non-core units
On
don't
the
need the
ground,
experience points.
everything's so hectic. Annihilation, as usual.
We aim for the sky.
We're eager to fly.
Where's my missing plane? No, I guess I don't have one. Okay, so I took out those units, but these ones over here are still a problem.
Is there anything better than serving on a US
I
battleship?
don't think there's anything I can do about
I
that
don't
problem.
think
So I'm going to
so.
go ahead and hit intern. So I'm just going to hit the button to speed this up. There's that dang plane again. You know, I need to just move my fighters down there. Protect that nonsense. Alright, so Australia is helping us. or Britain, whomever.
We aim for the sky.
So
We
Wildcat.
are high in the sky.
Gonna fly him right over that dang transport, so that other guy can leave us alone.
We are high in the sky. Was that
Done.
a barrel roll?
We're on a
And
floating fortress.
Verifying the enemy's location.
oh, I found him. I was just guessing. Now I wish I didn't move my fighters.
Verifying the enemy's location.
I think I still have
We
one
reach
more.
for the stars.
Ah, okay.
We prefer to keep our
So I'm
distance.
gonna move my carrier south and see if that
They live
gave me enough movement points. It did.
Take it. Take it.
All right.
bitch.
So when it's raining, your attack of all units is reduced by 33%, but your camouflage goes up. So the fact that I found him was a miracle, but I wasn't able to destroy him for that reason. And if these two fighters were still available, I really would have finished him off. But I was glad to find him. I was banking on the fact that I couldn't.
Will not replace good
I
old
should not have
400
been so
millimeter
hasty
naval guns.
to move them. And these guys are all unknown because I used up all my command points, so that stinks. So the way you get around that
US Marines are bested
is we
only by
know
US submarines.
that this is a heavy cruiser, and so that's probably the destroyer. So I'm going to move my submarine.
Maybe we can sneak up on them? Or is it swim up?
In.
I'm claustrophobic, you know. Are we going home?
And there you can see
Let's send them to Davy Jones' locker.
We're
US
just
Marines are
wrecking the
bested
crap out
only
of this
by
heavy
US
cruiser.
Submarines.
we just did, I think, 10 hull damage to this guy. 6. That's pretty good. So submarines are awesome that way. 1, 2, 3, 4 transports I need to eliminate. One thing about this mission, and any mission, this is the main objective. Kill 6 of the 10. You get points if you could control all flags, clear all enemies, stuff like that. If you destroy these 4 transports and don't sink these 2 ships, you're not going to get 25 victory points for killing all the ships. You might think, oh, that's no big deal, but 25 victory points is significant. It's the difference between like a silver and a gold sometimes, and I think in this case it is. And you want to get fancy is basically what I'm trying to say. Pay attention to your objectives and finish them at the end of your turn, not at the beginning of your turn. Okay, so with that said though, I do have a
We're
lot
on
of scattered
floating
units here.
fortress.
Like
We
normally
prefer to
I
keep
use
our
my
distance.
carriers to do it.
We aim for the sky. Going the
So
extra
yeah,
mile
my
to
carrier's
carry
gonna
out
charge
your
in like
orders,
tanks.
sir.
And for
Can't we
example,
just stay away and launch
I
plague?
can attack those guys.
Enemy killed. Let's call it a side job.
Where are
I'm
we
gonna
headed?
send him in.
Oh yes.
Go
we
after
should
their
have made guns.
destroyer.
That ship is about to disappear.
That's always good.
We're on a floating
My
fortress.
battleship.
Did you check for the enemy submarines?
My long gun can only make it that far. My short gun can only hit him. So that's what we're gonna
How
do.
You like our big toy? Fire! It's raining hell.
So he's gone, and we have good experience. Alright, so what do we got? We got a really damaged destroyer, which is pretty standard. We're sitting at plus 700 to minus 440, so we're doing really great on the win-loss column. I'm going to move in
Conducting
so,
active search for enemy subs.
and use... I want to hit him here with my my torpedoes.
All these fancy new
So my
carriers
long
will not replace
gonna
good old
attack.
400mm guns. How would you like our big?
Now, why did I attack him with my battleship? Largely to absorb those pips. See, those pips are gone? So that means now when I attack with my
You require
destroyer,
an escort.
he's still going to attack me with his secondary gun, but that's not as bad.
Keep on.
So he did 1 hull. And I just did 2. Which is good. All right, so then I have another unit that I'm going to bring in. And notice I'm not shooting at these things yet. But here we go. Torpedo away. And then I have one final unit here. Actually, I got a lot of units. I got
Mobile airfield at your disposal.
I have air units.
We better be kept away from the enemy.
So I have a lot of things to choose from. I'm going to...
Let's pray for good weather. We deliver them one-way tickets to... no hurry at all.
Finish them
Just
off
over
with
200
that.
miles an-
This is my torpedo bomber. I'm going to shut off the torpedoes. That doesn't make a difference. A little bit of a difference,
we
but
deliver them one-way tickets.
still got
I
me some
hope
experience
there'll be
points.
No enemy fighters.
And then now I'm going to attack with my main gun.
Continue the onslaught. Firing as we go. Enemy down. Providing air cover.
Main guns.
They want to escape. Got 'em. They want to escape. Now we finished.
From Admiral
And there it
Nimitz
is.
to Admiral King.
From Admiral King.
So I'm being congratulated all around. And like we've been looking at the whole game, 294 to repair my core units, 207 to repair my non-core. I didn't lose any non-core, which helps because that is a bigger negative number. That actually can cause this negative number to be larger than the 800. But I got my 800, and they did not. Somewhere in here, I didn't get a victory points I should have gotten. I was able to get to 100 here before. Oh, you know what? It's that freaking fighter. I wasn't able to... I didn't destroy that fighter. That's the difference between a silver and a gold. But that's okay. This 316 is not as good as it could have been. I would have gotten 4 more points, I guess. 320. Somewhere in here, I think I would have gotten 5 more points. But the clear all enemies would have given me 25 more. So that would have been 29 more points. So 320, 30, 40. It would have been 45 points. 345 is better than 316, but that's how the cookie crumbles. The good news is there's no medals. A gold medal is better than a silver, is what I'm trying to get at. There's no medals for this one, so this is only going to hurt me in how many I could spend, and trust me, 25 points is not going to break my bank. This is the better number. I got a plus 800 and a minus 500. I'm very happy with that. That was a good operation. All right, I know I'm at an hour and a half.
I have great news for you, sir.
Go ahead, Ernest.
Mr. President, we have prevented the Japanese from completing their plan to occupy Port Moresby, sir. The Japs will not show up there again. The Australian region is now safe.
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Our first major battle with the Japanese, where we have been victorious. Our new Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet, Chester Nimitz, has proven that our trust in him was well placed.
I think the videos are of decent quality. I mean, I know they're not like top-notch, but for a war game, they put some love into it. And the voice acting isn't like atrocious, but it's just off. That's the best thing I can say about it, but it doesn't bother me. I mean, most of the time I'm double-clicking through it anyways, but I do commend them for that.
We shouldn't overestimate our first success in the Coral Sea.
I forgot to explain what the screen
Our
is,
Pacific
but
fleet is still numerically inferior to the Japanese. Apparently, the enemy will soon attempt yet another devastating blow. If I cannot predict the exact time and place of that blow, then all my work will be useless. Fortunately, we have the best cryptanalysts in the world at our disposal. They'll soon finish deciphering the Japanese JN25 code, which is considered impregnable. This will enable us to read all of the enemy radio communications and discover its plans in advance.
Alright, so I'm looking up who cracked the Midway code. Because obviously this guy, Rochefort, that's the name. Joseph Rochefort is who I'm thinking of. And so this Leighton guy is like, he's playing the role of Joseph Rochefort, of, you know, one of the cutscenes that I skipped through was him explaining how he lived in Japan and he understands the Japanese. If you ever are interested, just Wikipedia Joseph J. Rochefort, Rochefort. He's the guy who broke the Japanese code regarding Midway, and it's just like a fluky thing because he knew what AF stood for. Anyways, it's not worth getting into because there's a whole documentary on how he did it. But this Layton guy is sort of like that. As far as the game is concerned, he's just a guy that tells you about the upcoming mission and the challenge it's going to be to your Navy. So you're going to find out if there's going to be a lot of battleships, or later in the game if there's a lot of kamikazes, things like that. He just gives you a little bit of insight. The first thing is clicking on Nimitz himself. Your medals, as you earn them, are going to show up here on the left. You can see 1 is already giving us +1 command point. You start with 25, that makes it 26. And that's what I mean by you want the gold medals, because the gold medals are going to give you more command points. And then sometimes you even get like Philippine exiles, and exiles from the Netherlands. And so you rescue some ambassador from something. But when you do that, you're going to get extra, like your headquarters unit might get +2 armor or +2 movement points. I mean, you're going to get like perks like that. And sometimes, like maybe if you sink all of their carriers, or destroy all their planes, they might have reduced grade pilots for the rest of the campaign. These kind of things are going to show up. On the right side, and this 18, by the way, it shows you it's the 25 + 1 is 26, minus the 8 core units that you have. So you're going to get a net income of 18 per turn, which is what we were getting. This is your research. There's a couple of things we can do. The first thing we can do is these optimization programs where your aircraft gets an extra equipment slot or your naval units get an extra equipment slot, which, by the way, is wonderful. All of these are wonderful. So I can buy all 3 of these and spend all of my points, 100, 250, 300 points. Or I can do this one, which costs 300 exactly, and all my units are going to be automatically given enough experience to be a level 1 unit. So that means all the experience points I just gained was for nothing, but I get to automatically move them up to level 1, which is not bad, because the sooner I can get them to level 1 or level 2, the sooner they'll be able to get to 3, 4, and 5. Because I've seen them get up to level 6, I think. It's hard to do, because it takes the whole campaign to do it. But that's really nice. And what's really cool is like your non-core units automatically get a level 1 bonus. So everybody gets level 1. The extra slots, normally you have only 2 slots available. Here, let me just show you. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So if you look at your units here, if I click on equipment, I have 2 slots. It'll unlock this 3rd one. So you can buy like different types of equipment that's going to give your ships various bonuses. That's what I'm getting at. And you won't be able to buy that 3rd thing until you unlock that 3rd slot. Now here's the problem. I only have so much prestige. If you do like the cheaty thing and give yourself unlimited money, then unlocking those extra slots is like the absolute best thing to do at the start of the game, because you can, buy all the equipment you need for all your stuff, and you're as equipped and ready to go as possible. But I'm limited, so what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to take the training program, and everybody's going to be level 1. Now, as you can see, it's going to cost 300 more victory points to get the level 2 upgrade. But that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now if I click on my units, you can see these little stars, everybody leveled up. And what's interesting is, see, their experience points is back to 0. So all that work I was doing to get experience points was for nothing. I guess. I didn't think it through. Some mistakes were made in the making of this video. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you how this works, and we'll do upgrades and go through all that. But I'm already at 1 hour and 30, so I'm going to go ahead and hit stop and say thank you for watching, and stay awesome. So that takes me a little bit because I have to Alt-Tab out of this. There we go. And thanks for watching.